Hello, everybody. Yes, indeed. It is Wednesday. Wednesday means it is night for the Witches Movie Coven. So grab your popcorn, grab your drink of choice, and let's talk movies. So in case you're going, who are you and what are you doing? This is the Witches Movie Coven. We are witches talking about witch movies and television and occasional who knows what as we go. My name is Patti Negri. I'm one of your hosts. I'm host of the Witching Hour podcast. And all sorts of other things. But let me introduce you to my co-host. We have the lovely Heather Greene in the top square. She is an author, and she wrote the definitive book on witches in movies, the literal Bible of the book of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. She is here. We also have Jason Mankey, a well-respected also author and witch, holding up one of his many, many books on the craft, and movie expert and very opinionated at that. We also have Richard-Lael Lillard, and this is in no particular order. Beautiful, a fellow worker, magician, psychic, medium, gentleman psychic. Also very opinionated on his movies and television, and could never leave out the beautiful, amazing Courtney Buckley, who's now collecting books from everywhere. We're book people, I'll tell you that. Maybe we'll have to have a book club next. I don't know, with our movies. But anyway, I will let everybody introduce herself. So I guess everybody introduce what's been going on. We missed last week. I was in Australia. I guess I'll start. We missed last week because I was working in Australia. Yes, I put a little shrimp on the Barbie Down Under, and I did fall in love with Sydney. I must say, beautiful, magical, kind of witchy city. At least the part I experienced was. So that's why we weren't here last week, but we will be here next week. I'm leaving for Dallas, so I've just been on the road. I am going to stop the road for the holidays, though, so you just will have me whether you want me or not. So who wants to go next? Heather, how about going back to you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be back. I've missed a couple weeks due to family engagements and things going on here, but I am back, always ready to talk movies with y'all from down in Atlanta. I wrote Lights, Camera, Witchcraft, and what have I been up to lately? Well, we've been doing a lot of family stuff because it's that time. It's the holidays is here, and getting ready for Yule in a few weeks. Very excited, and helping my artist boyfriend create some really great witchy gifts. So that's been really fun and exciting. And I think I have some updates for some of our listeners who ask questions, but I'll save those for a little bit. But I'm so glad to be back here after a couple weeks missing.
We missed you indeed. All right. Now let's go to Courtney next.
That's me. So I've had a lot of adventures recently. One really cool thing that happened, I've been saying I have to get my hands on Heather's book. I have to get my hands on Jason's book. And the amazing Marcus Ironwood at Llewellyn sent me a whole big box of books, and included in them were all of these. So now I can follow along with what you guys are talking about and hopefully get you guys to sign them for me sometime. But also, if viewers remember from last show, I was so jealous of everyone's Black Phillip because I didn't have my own. And our wonderful producer sent me this Black Phillip, and I had to take him on an adventure immediately. So we went to Salem. And if you go on my Instagram, I posted a bunch of his adventures. We visited all the sites. And I didn't, the Witches Movie Coven was not far from my heart while me and Black Phillip were on our adventure. I went to Why Not's Wands, and I got a wand so I can give wands up or wands down based on my opinions. So it's been busy.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Jason.
It's an exciting time for me. My 9th book is out next Friday, which is incredible to me that I've written 9 books and Llewellyn has decided to publish them. It's called Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods, and I'll be in Ohio with my co-author, Estrella Taylor, promoting this book at the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft in Cleveland and Witch Collab in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm going to miss next week's show because of that. And it's Yuletide season, and I wrote a book about Yule, and I freaking love Yule, and I'm already wearing my Krampus sweater. And every week I'm on the show, I will have a new sweater to where they won't all be Krampus. Krampus rules.
Yay, thank you. And you and your book partner are going to come on my witching hour soon. I'm so excited.
Yes, it's going to be great.
So thank you for that. Okay, Richard-Lael.
Hello. I have to say I love Krampus too. He is the reason of the season. And I have to say that I really do love the Yule Cat. I'm sure that you know about the Yule Cat, Jason. I love the Yule Cat. So that's a little bit of homework for everybody. If you don't know the Yule Cat, you can look it up. I've been well. I've been busy creating and manifesting and being a snappy dresser, all of the above.
Always Black Phillip everywhere. So I know all of you people out there watching or listening, you need a Black Phillip.
Everyone needs a Black Phillip. It made me so happy. I've slept with him every night. He's come everywhere with me. And this is a fun thing because, you look for every opportunity to perform witchcraft, right? When he came, where his little tag is in his butt is a little rip. So it's his little butthole. And I am going to make a little spell bag to foster some success for Black Phillip. And I'm going to stick it in there before I sew him up. So then he's going to be a magical Black Phillip. He's going to be a witch too.
Yay. Butthole magic is always the best.
I think that should be the new tagline.
We are definitely back.
Okay, Kelly asked, where can you get a Black Phillip? I actually got mine when I was at Frankie Frank's event upstate New York from a metaphysical shop that might have been in Salem. I'm not sure. I don't know. Where does everybody get Black Phillip? I have everywhere. Not anywhere really. Occult shops, metaphysical shops.
Amazon.
Sadly, I got mine on Amazon by searching for Black Phillip, and that's the goat that came up. That's the goat in everyone's heart now.
Wow, that is the goat in everyone's heart. Well, this week we're going to talk about a few different things, including the new Wednesday, which I cannot remember. I don't know if we want to start there, because what we're really going to talk about, what we had planned and what we've advertised is Bewitched. Yes, the original Bewitched, both the television show and the later movie with Nicole Kidman. But before we go there, do we want to talk a little bit about Wednesday? I just started watching it. I personally really like it. I'm 3 episodes in, all like at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I kind of fell in love with it a little bit more each episode, but I know that isn't across the board gift. So who wants to start with Wednesday?
Well, I'd like to chime in here if you don't mind, because I usually, do a little bit of a history background. But what I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to be binge watching, and I will get back to you on my wands up or wands down next week. But the interesting thing I just want to chime in here is that what I've noticed in the history of watching which waves of films that we have, when they become popular and they get really popular and they go away, right? We had several of them. And this current one, and they always end with teen films. They always end with resurrections of films that center on teen witches and young female witches specifically. So it's kind of interesting. I just want to point that out because we've been seeing that trend over the last 5 years. Once again, this is the 3rd time we've had that trend, and Wednesday fits right into that. So I just wanted to give a little historical perspective on that.
Thank you. Courtney?
Okay, so I know that I like to sometimes be controversial. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I think I'm about where you are, like 3 episodes in, and from maybe second 15, it was a solid 2 wands up for me. I think that this portrayal of Wednesday Addams is the little voice that's in my head all the time, saying all the things out loud that I don't, that I try to refrain from saying out loud. I think she's an amazing character. I think everything, like even the opening sequence with with the music and like the violin with the knife on it, like everything blows me away. And just the way that she, in that very, very, or very early scene where the boys are in the swimming pool and she takes the piranhas and dumps them in, and the smile after, it's like, oh yes, she is who I want to be when I grow up. So I give it Wands Up already.
Wands Up. Yes, I got Wands Up too, but we're holding that for the end. Or Dachshund Up. All right, let's move over to Richard-Lael.
Well, you know what? I love the Addams Family more than anything on this planet, which is a weird thing to say, I guess, but I do. I like it. I prefer the earlier iterations of the family because it's not really about the family in this one, and that's fine. It evolves, and it is good to see Christina Ricci acting again. She was definitely, as a teenager in the 90s, she was the epitome of sort of the goth scene, and so that's what has evolved even more so. I like it. I would like it more if it weren't about the Addams Family. I think I like that it's sort of a girl school, sort of a Nancy Drew almost. I like that. I really have pause with the actors playing the family, especially Gomez and Morticia. And everyone was up in arms about Guzman. He's great. He's fine. It's Catherine Zeta-Jones. I really have a hard time buying that she is Morticia. She's very actory, and she doesn't really. Gomez and Morticia don't have that static relationship that one grew to love. And the funny thing is, my own parents, who were unique in their own way, they had that passionate, enthralled relationship that you would associate with Gomez and Morticia. And my mother was tall, Native American, had dark, long black hair that went way down, and my father was a blonde with a mustache, which is not quite a Gomez, but they had a beautiful relationship. And I really wanted to see more of that connection because I feel like that's important. Anyway, I thought it was good. I would give it a half a wand. No, I'll give it a whole wand up. Not two, just one. I'll give it one wand up. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And we're just going down the line here. Jason.
I don't hate it. I am disappointed in it, though. I think the joy of the Addams Family is watching them with so-called normal people, and sending Wednesday to a school where everyone else is an other sort of takes away from the charm of the original series. And Wednesday kind of works best in small doses. Everything she says is a one-liner. And some of you probably love that and think it's great, all the morbid stuff. That's fine. I laughed a lot. I think it's fun, but it's a lot. It's a lot to center a character, like a show around that character. And every time I see Christina Ricci on screen, I just think, wow, this could be a much better show if it had been about Wednesday as an adult with children, starring Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams. I think that would be a much better show. It feels kind of Harry Potter-esque. And the fact that, you have different sort of like tribes in the school. And to me, that just feels sort of cliche at this point. I know I sound like I'm just really ripping on the show, and I am, because it could be so much better than it is. And there's another thing about it too, is this is a Tim Burton directed TV series for the most part. Most of the episodes were directed by Burton. He's been really involved in it. And usually Tim Burton takes you to a different world. He takes you to something that looks nothing like the place that we are at. And this show just kind of looks ordinary. Even the school kind of looks ordinary. And that's really disappointing for a Tim Burton directed project. Maybe it's the budget. It is TV, and it's not, a movie where you have, tens of millions of dollars. But I found that a little bit disappointing. So I don't hate it, but I think it could be a lot better.
Okay, thank you. I thank you. We want you guys out there to comment as well, and you guys are. I see Robert Hicks just said he loved Wednesday, but everybody else was a little shady. And somebody else, Anja, it bothered her about the Morticia thing. So, I must say, because we want the original Addams, the Gomez and Morticia at first was like, yeah, but it's not their show. I don't need to hold on to that. But isn't school kind of like cliquey like that in real life too? Just like it's not just Hogwarts, isn't it life? I don't
Wouldn't
know.
it have been better to see her go to a military academy full of normal people? That would have been something to play off of. Playing off of werewolves and sirens. It has its joys and it has its like moments, but I love the contrast between like the Addams family, who are unique, and their stiff, boring neighbors. And yeah.
I agree absolutely, Jason. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I absolutely agree on that, because part for me, part of the joy was that the Addams family they didn't care what anyone. Well, to quote a line, I know no spoilers, but to quote a line, I hope I can say this. Everyone pretends they don't give a fuck, but you never had any fucks to give in the first place. And I like that, but in reality, that's what I like. I would like more of the normal interactions with people, because as a witch myself, who lives in those kind of towns that are portrayed, I understand what they call the wasps. I understand them all too well. And there is a lot of pressure to conform and a lot of pressure to not be. Well, anyway, I do think that I like the dark humor. I love dark humor, but I love joy. And I think that's what the original, from the comic strip through the 60s, through the 90s, I think that they showed joy. They loved. They even Wednesday, happy Wednesday, by the way. And Wednesday in the 60s, she would dance. She taught Lurch how to dance. So I will say there was a dance scene in the series that I did like. She was inspired by what's her name? The Banshees. What is her name? Susie Sue. She was inspired by Susie Sue. So I did like that, but I wish I would like more normal interaction.
Okay.
And I think that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To offer.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Hello, Heather.
I was just gonna say, like, to offer a little bit of a different perspective. Like, I know, Richard-Lael, how you feel, how deeply connected you are to the Addams family. So I can totally see how this doesn't do it like the service for you. When I watch it, right? But it's not, it's not the same for you. It's a little bit different for me. Watching, not having been such an avid fan of the Addams family originally, like, obviously I know who they are. I've seen the movie, I've seen some of the episodes, but I wasn't really hugely into it. There's almost like a suspension of disbelief for me that, like, I'm not really watching the Addams family. I'm watching this standalone sort of series, and looking at it in that way, I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much because I'm seeing the kind of humor that I have, like, and it's its own thing. But I can totally see from your perspective how it's not doing
and
service.
I do like it. I do like it. I do like that they are evolving and moving and changing. I like that it's become, in a weird way, when I was a weird little kid back before the movies in the 80s, and I was a weird goth kid that wore a cape to school. I mean, I was a weird kid, right? So, and then the 1990s movies came out, and I loved them. But I was that weird kid, and I enjoyed being that. And it's now sort of in vogue, and I get it. And I love that I kind of don't have a place, but I kind of don't have a place. And it's kind of that weird.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
See, I like that it's a bunch of outcasts, as they call them, the werewolves and the sirens and the normies are the weird. I don't know. I just think it's this. They did create another world to me. It mirrors our real world, the good and the bad and the ugly, but it certainly kept my attention, and I was certainly entertained, and it certainly fit into my little weird gothy witchy world of stuff. And I literally laughed out loud at 2 a.m. when my husband's trying to sleep. So he's like, oh, with your AirPods on. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I think one of the things you guys are reacting to, and again, I'm reserving a comment and only reacting to what I know about the Addams family, generally speaking, and what you're reacting to is the basis, the strength of the Addams family has always been its juxtaposition to normative society, has always been, and that's why, you know, getting to this 1960s specifically when it was first put on air, and this kind of links to our discussion on Bewitched as well, is that it was that sort of voyeurism into a world that was different from us, to something that was other, and it holds a juxtaposition, especially in the 60s. There was a socio-political reason why it was successful at that point, why it came at that point, and I think that's the thing that I think both Jason and Richard-Lael are speaking to, that they're missing, is that when you take that difference and put it in amongst difference, and there's nothing to juxtapose it to, you're missing a piece of what the Addams family's basis was, and what its success was whether it's funny or whether it's serious or whether there's political commentary, however it's been used over the years. There's a reason why Addams Family was done in the late 60s. There's a reason why it came back in the 90s. And that juxtaposition was part of it. So, you know, again, I have to reserve and place it in my historical, you know, context by watching it, and how that fits in and why they did it. And I'll get back to you on that. But I think that's what I'm hearing, is you're missing that piece of why it's lasted for so long. And that's very much so what you're talking about, the missing piece.
Yeah, thank you.
I also think there's something about it that just feels a little derivative after watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And a lot of these shows right now that are kind of mystery boxes, right, where there's a mystery that needs to be solved, and you go piece by piece. And the Addams Family was originally such a unique piece of art. To see Wednesday Addams kind of taking from shows from the last 8 years is a little bit disappointing. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat, that this seems to take from a lot of other witch and horror movies. And it really felt that way to me. I mean, I was watching it with my wife, and I think she liked it more than I did. But I'm like, oh, that's Harry Potter, and oh, that's Sabrina, and oh, that's Pretty Little Liars, and all of these different shows.
And Carrie.
Yeah.
With a little bit of X-Men thrown in.
Yes, you got a little Wolverine action there.
Yeah, a little like Professor X and his School of Misfits.
Yeah. And I like the actors and actresses. I love seeing Gwendolyn Christie in things. She just has like this dignity to her and this huge presence. And Jenna Ortega is terrific. I mean, I'm not going to give this like a huge, like great wand rating, but there's some like really bright spots in it. I just wish it had been a little more original.
Okay. All right.
And again, well, I really enjoyed it too. So yes, I enjoyed it as a standalone. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
No, that's good. I guess we're going to move on to what we're really talking about. But I thank you guys, everybody else who in the chat room, who joined in. Mary Jane King get all really valid points on all sides. And so before we give it, I know we are holding back on Heather's, but and you guys in the chat room, do say wands up or wands down. So everybody, as of now, except for Heather's holding hers, wands up or wands down.
I'll keep mine this way.
I'll still keep it up. I'll still keep it up. I like it for what it is. I like it for. I like it.
Two wands
up. Oh, wands up,
wand and a bone up.
Yeah. Okay. Dowsing rods, wands up. Microphone stand, wands up. I don't know.
I think it could use a little like TV Viagra to go up. So I'm gonna give it like a.
I think that's what it gave me, and that's why the bone went up. So.
Okay. On that note, we will move on. All right. Now let's talk about what we had advertised to talk about, and we've talked about Bewitched. I always thought of her as the first big TV witch, which I'm probably 100% wrong though for Heather. So let's go back over to Heather and talk about Bewitched.
I think she probably was actually the first big TV show, regular TV show witch. So I don't think you're that far off. There were other witches on television, but they were not regular. They were not as popular. You know, we can not count the Wizard of Oz, which was on TV every year. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a sitcom, witch sitcom. This is really the first big one. And it was revolutionary. People think, oh, this is just such a funny sitcom. Bewitched was a funny sitcom, but it lasted for so many years. It was on for so long. I think it shut down in 72, 74, something like that. It was on since 1964. I think those were the dates. There you go, 72. So it's one of the longest running ones at the time, far exceeding The Addams Family even, which was running about the same time. Why was it popular? It was funny. It was light. We loved 67, 66, I think, with The Addams Family. Anyway.
No, I think 66. No, I think it was... I think I can't remember now. I'm drawing a blank, but I think
it was like 2 or 3 years. Seasons. Yeah, it was a couple seasons. Yeah. So anyway, the big thing about Bewitched, which people have to understand, is it was really fun. It was funny, but it was poignant, and there's this socio-political underpinnings of this show. It was wedged between change. It was wedged between two American worlds. Let's say that during a period of change, and it captures that subtly underneath and poignantly and purposefully. And that's what made the show so successful. And that's why they can't redo it well or at all. We can talk about that after. But the show has, it's brilliantly done, putting all these sublayers, subtext in there on top of a show that's just funny and light to watch. And it was hugely successful. Hugely.
The second most popular show on television, its first year out. And like back then you only had 3 channels to watch. So you're talking like 40 million people watching Bewitched every week. No show does that today. I mean, It's incredible. Like a show about witches.
And what's really cool is that within that year, Elizabeth Montgomery was appearing as guests in other movies as a witch within the first year that was happening. 1964, how to train a bikini, what's that movie? Anyway, it's a beach movie that came out at the same time, and she appears for a little cameo as a witch, which was a cue to audiences. I mean, in the same year that the show started. That's how popular. And now she's in Salem as a statue, which is fantastic. Courtney can probably speak to that beautiful statue.
I certainly can. Me and Black Phillip actually visited it, and I took a picture of her holding him. So that's on my Instagram. But it's actually really funny because there was a series, like a 3-episode, I think, series that filmed in Salem when their Hollywood studio burnt down. So they came to Salem and they filmed at all the locations and everything. And then to commemorate it, I think it was a gift from TV Land, maybe it was the production studio. They gifted the city of Salem the statue. So the statue goes up, and people in Salem were so irate about it. They were picketing it and holding up signs and protesting the installation of the statue because it commercialized the witchcraft too much. Which, if you've ever been in Salem in October, is just a joke. That little, because you think it's big, you see the pictures, you think it's big. It's like life size. It's just, she's not a big woman. Like it's she's sitting on a moon with like the little whatever. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You can actually, if you're not looking for it, just like glance right past it. Oh, there it is. There's Black Phillip. That's the picture I took. So there's Black Phillip right on there. So you can see he's tiny, and that's how big it is. But so it doesn't take up a lot of space. It's not invasive, and they just put so much effort into just picketing it, and they didn't like it, and it's one of my favorite stories to tell because it's just so silly. Like especially telling that story in October, surrounded by booths selling witch hats and witch gear, and there's witches on the sides of the police cars, and there's witches. It's the witch city, so it's on the city seal. It's like everywhere. But that's where we draw the line, is the statue, the small one.
I saw, just for me, it was one of my favorite shows the whole time it was on. Would run home and watch it, and I think I even said this before, I never liked regular family dramas, the Little Houses on the Prairie and all those things that were just could not do. But Bewitched was special. I could watch that one. I wanted to be her. Oh wait, I became her. I've got lots of pictures in front of her at the Statue of Salem, but not with Black Phillip. So
Next time, Patti, tell me, and we'll.
I will
together.
come and I will bring her. Anybody else want to talk about the TV show before we move to the movie?
Well, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Good. No, go ahead, Jason.
I have to say, you wanted to be Elizabeth Montgomery. You wanted to be Elizabeth Montgomery, and I wanted to be Paul Lynde, the gay Uncle Arthur.
And we did.
I guess I think I might have reached that goal.
We did.
That's awesome.
Oh, hello, Sammy.
When I think of Bewitched, I think of Paul Lynde. There was something about Paul Lynde, like even as a small child, like the way he delivered his voice was just so unique and so different. I'm absolutely obsessed with Paul Lynde. Like the Halloween special is the greatest Halloween special of all time. And my first exposure to him was Bewitched, which, like many people, I caught on reruns. It was something that was always on like at 2 p.m. So like when you were home during the summer, it was something that you watched. It was on throughout the 70s and 80s, long after it had been off, broadcast television regularly. I mean, it's just such an iconic show.
I want to bring up a couple things.
I also love the fact.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I think there's a lag. You go ahead.
I just want to bring up a couple of things. A lot of people will say that Bewitched is a remake or a redo of either Bell Book and Candle or I Married a Witch, and that's not true. These three things were three separate properties. The show was inspired by the other two, and the producers and writers do say they were inspired by those other two movies. Both of those two movies were independent of each other, totally different properties, as I said. However, they do have similar characters, and there is a subtle thing. And what I love about Bewitched is that Bewitched is almost like chapter 2 or 2.0, to use modern language, of the other two, because in the other two, the witch has to give up her powers to become a married woman. Here, she's a married woman, and she tries to give up her powers because she wants to be proper. She wants to be June Cleaver, but she can't, no matter how hard she tries, and she uses her magic to save the day. And I always loved it, and I have tried forever to wrinkle my nose and make the broom sweep, but it has not worked yet.
We still work on it. Okay.
And before you talk about the movie, you may want to mention Tabitha, unfortunately. The unfortunate 9-episode Tabitha from the 1970s.
Oh, okay. Tell us. I don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
Oh, do you guys not know about Tabitha? Well, there was let's tell the story of Tabitha. Now, basically, they tried to do a spinoff about Tabitha when she's grown up. And it was I want to say 77, 78, 70. I can't remember the exact dates. I think it was maybe, I have it in my book. It's like 8 episodes, and it was terrible. It was, I don't even know that you can watch it. I just watched it recently. I just watched an episode called, oh gosh, I don't even remember the name of the episode, honestly, but search it up. And you may be able to catch an episode or two, but it was so poorly received that they just shut the whole thing down. And they never tried to do it again until the movie, which was like 2007 or something. There you go. 77 to 78 was when Tabitha aired. So it's one of those sad moments. You just can't redo Bewitched. It was a moment in time that was perfect. You just can't do it.
So was Tabitha, she grew up to be like her mom, wanting to marry a human, and I don't remember the entire premise. I think she was like a young professional. She was trying to get out there in the world, and it was kind of like 20-something. I think she might have been 21, trying to get out there in the workforce. Very 70s, late 70s woman in the workforce type thing. Spinoff. Spinoffs don't always work very well, and this one was one of those that bombed.
Then she met Mary Tyler Moore, and it was a whole thing.
No. It didn't work.
Is I Dream of Jeannie just a ripoff of Bewitched, or was there something more to that?
I didn't really study it from that perspective, but probably trying to take from the popularity of it. I think that's very common. It happens all the time. I really enjoyed I Dream of Jeannie as a young person. So I was, anything where there's magic happening, I was like, I'm good. But yeah, I think it probably was. Just like the Munsters and the Addams Family. You know, you have one success, you try another one.
Right. I agree. I did like the other one too. There's Jason. We should all send our photos.
I have to find mine. I have one too.
No, me
too. Paul Lind is fantastic.
Oh, he is.
He is great. And that Halloween episode is classic.
Okay, so we all talk. So far, as far as the original TV show, Wands up, Wands down.
Two. If I have another one.
Wands up.
Wait a minute. Wands down on the original show?
So sorry.
Okay, go Courtney. Go
Whoa.
Courtney.
But I also,
all right, guys.
No.
Well.
Oh, sorry. I was waiting for Richard-Lael.
I know Richard-Lael. I think we've lost his
he's
internet.
frozen. Yeah.
Can you hear me? I don't know if I might.
Yeah.
Everyone is freezing.
No, you're freezing.
But we can hear you.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead, Courtney. You go ahead and tell me why you don't like it, and I'll tell you why I do like it.
Okay. So I just never got into it really. It was on, I watched it every once in a while in reruns. I think that on like Nick at Night. Back when like all the Nick at Night shows were like in black and white. And it's not that I didn't love it. It just didn't, well, I didn't love it. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that it never struck any kind of a chord with me. So it wasn't something that I was into. And then I feel like when, and not to jump ahead, but like when the movie came out, my whole family was like, oh my God, like, oh, Bewitched and the nostalgia and this, and oh, we're going to watch it. And I watched it and I was like, I still don't get it. I still don't get like the appeal. I just didn't click with it. So I don't think it means that it was a bad show. I just think that for me, it didn't do it for me. So
okay,
I'm so sorry.
Good. Fair enough. Wands down. Okay, Richard-Lael. I think he's frozen. He's frozen.
Well, for me, I wanted to tell you one of the reasons I really am I frozen? Can you hear me?
You're
I
back.
know my internet has been slow. Can you hear me?
Yes.
If you can hear me, I'll go ahead and jump in and continue talking. Okay. So the reason I loved it, because it was an allegory for the LGBTQIA plus community. As most of the castmates were in that category and they were closeted, it was an allegory about love and acceptance no matter who they are. So for me, it had a deeper meaning than just a silly show about campy witches.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I just never connected to it in any kind of way, I think, because someone said, you had to be there at the time, and that's exactly it. I wasn't there at the time. It was late at night when it was on in reruns for me, so it wasn't something that I really like sat down to watch, on purpose. It was just something that like came on after the show that I was done watching would be on. So I totally support all of the millions of wands up that are going out in the comments and with you guys. But just my own personal taste didn't do it for me.
Let me speak to what Richard-Lael says, and the Bell book in Candle was very much that allegory, and it was purposely written to be that allegory. Absolutely. This one's meaning was that and broader. And so one of the things, even Courtney, if you don't like to watch the show, if you don't enjoy it, it's not funny. If you read my section on the show, you'll see the depth of a socio-political commentary and the threads that weave through this, and you can respect the show on that level, because what it was doing, like Richard-Lael suggested, it was also wedging itself in commentary on women's rights at a time in 1964, and that's what spoke to people. Like someone said in the things that you had to be there at the time.
Yeah.
It spoke to women there, saying, okay, here, if you up until now, witches, as an allegory for women's power, had to give up their power to become good women. And here a woman is trying to do that, but she can't because she can't give up her actual power. So you have that allegory going on. You also have a commentary on potentially interracial interfaith marriage. You have families coming together trying to work that out, a mother-daughter dynamic. You have a lot of stuff going on that's sort of mirroring the conditions of our society at the time. So the show is brilliantly done. And you may not think it's funny, which, that might be just, whatever you taste, but the respect for what they did and how they did it is incredible. And the actual director said, sometimes you can do more with comedy than you can with drama. They purposely were doing this. So it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I totally, those are all things that as an adult now, those are all things that I can 100% get behind. So I feel like maybe I should go back and give it a second look and maybe change my wand answer. I don't know.
Oh,
like, I don't
you
think
may
I
not enjoy it.
Well, the
you
thing is,
may not enjoy it.
I was young, like young when I watched it. So I don't think that I got, and none of that fazed me at all. Like, it was never something that I would have picked up on. So, but like the same way as like I looked at when we talked about Witches of Eastwick, had I watched that, I might have enjoyed it then. And like watching it as an adult, it's like the opposite. Like I don't, because I get it a little differently now. But I feel like knowing, like hearing what you just said about it and looking at it from that perspective, if I watched it today, maybe I'd feel differently. So, give me, what are your favorite episodes? I'm writing them down. I got my pen.
Just start with number one.
Work your way through.
Let's start with it. Yeah, no, there, and as we say, did in film school, is sometimes you can appreciate the film for what it's done, but not enjoy watching it at all. And there's plenty of films where I'm like, I'm not watching that, but it's a really important film. I could name a bunch of those. So you may not enjoy it just from that perspective, but its history in witch films is incredibly powerful. And I'm not going to say that about the show. I'm not going to say that about the movie or Tep.
We're almost there. We're almost to the movie.
Heather brings up something that I thought was really interesting, though. Like, if you look at fairy tales and those and fantasy stories, often the woman has to give up her power, right? And Samantha doesn't give up her power. She's still immortal, and she goes to this mortal world, and that is unlike anything that had really ever been done before on TV. Most of popular literature in movies, it's pretty awesome. I mean, usually the woman settles for this mortal man and has to give up what makes her special, and Samantha keeps what makes her special. And I'll also add, as a child, Samantha's mother scared the piss out of me.
She's amazing.
Endora, I
love Endora.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you guys know how I feel about all of these issues based on my reaction to Witches of Eastwick and all the thoughts that I had about that. So I feel like maybe let me just, can I just, like, just for the spirit of it, I'll give it another chance because I haven't watched it in a long time, because these are issues that I'd like to support and I'd like to see that happen. So I'm going to give it another try and remain neutral for right now.
Okay, perfect. And on that note, let's move on to where there's probably less neutrality. The movie starring Nicole Kidman. They put it on the big screen. Anybody want to start?
I'm sorry they did this. There is literally no way that they could have ever remade it. So I give them an A for effort in trying to find a way to bring. They were trying to capitalize on the success of Harry Potter and create some kind of thing. And it was the wrong moment for witch films. First of all, we were not in a witch wave at that time, so it was not the point to have done it. And I give them an A for effort in trying to bring Bewitched into a modern time, however, and not just trying to remake it. And I will also say that I love Will Ferrell, and I will watch anything he's in. However, this one really missed the mark, by a whole country. I mean, it's just, it's just not very good. And I wish it wasn't done.
Well, see, that's the whole country thing. Because to me, that is a plain movie. Because since I'm in the air almost weekly right now,
Oh, it's so
and you
weird.
want to and you want to watch something that like helps you kind of half go to sleep, but half take your mind off things and half keep it up. So I, for the first time, watched it not even very long ago on a plane, and I'm like, this is a plane movie. It was pretty. I like Nicole Kidman. I like Will Ferrell. I like any Hollywood reference stuff, anything that references studios in Hollywood. I live in the middle of Hollywood, so you could play off that. It meant nothing to me. It was not going to get an award-winning thing. It's a plane movie, so that's what I get about it. So, all right, who wants to go next? Jason?
You know, to be contrary, I think this is one of the greatest I can't do it. I just can't.
You had
I
me in the
was-
beginning.
You tried.
I was gonna try. I was like gonna give it my best effort. I had like a speech in my head. This movie tries things, and they mostly all fall flat. It might have been better if it had not been related to Bewitched and been something else entirely. It just doesn't work, and I think it besmirches the good name of Bewitched. Makes me sad.
It didn't ever relate. I mean, I knew the name was Bewitched, but it wasn't Bewitched. There was nothing to it that was Samantha. I mean, they used the name. That's it to me. Wasn't trying to change it. It just wasn't it. So, all right, Richard-Lael.
On that note, I would like to say, I would like to talk about the casting actually, because the film was horrible. I hated every second of it. However, I think that if they would have cast Jim Carrey as Darren, I almost could have gotten into it, because then he could have really done Darren justice, because I think Jim is actually a really good actor, and I think he could have done the faces and the awkward expressions that I associate with Darren Stevens #1.
That's a great point. I mean, he has that same
So that's
face.
my thought. It was horrible. It is a plain movie.
It's a plane movie. All right, Jason. Thank you, Richard-Lael.
Oh,
no, you already went. You
Yeah,
already
I went.
went. Sorry, because you loved it. Okay, Courtney.
It's my favorite movie of all time. I don't know what you guys are talking about. No, again, I just
You guys, no.
You guys,
I love
Nicole Kidman is watching right now. Nicole Kidman is watching. No.
Well, I feel like the same way as Heather about like Will Ferrell. I will literally, if the movie was him sitting on a chair watching paint dry, I would pay money to go see it because I just love him. Nicole Kidman, I can take or leave. I'm sorry. But I just, again, it was like, it was presented to me to go see it as this nostalgic factor, like with my family. And I didn't feel that way about it at all. So to me, it was literally just, I watched it once, I never watched it again. And I'm the queen of, I'll rewatch the same thing 100,000 times, same way as I'll read the same book 100,000 times. I never once ever felt the need, even if I was in a Will Ferrell mood, that was never where I was going ever again. It was just forgettable. I couldn't even bring myself, like I try to do my movie homework every week before we have the show, couldn't even bring myself to try to watch that for movie homework. I watched Wednesday instead. So I just, no thanks.
So what did it go? What went wrong? Was it just bad script, bad writing, bad directing, bad everything, or did they try to do something that failed?
I think it was just, for me, it was boring. Like,
Yeah.
It didn't have any charm to me at all. And I feel like when you, even in my limited knowledge, when you think of Bewitched, you think it's charming and it's whatever. And it wasn't any of the things.
I think it was, you know, there's a term I hear my kids say, try hard. I think they were trying hard. I think they were trying to capture some of that success of Harry Potter, which was happening at the time. A lot of other shows were trying to do it. They said, oh, we need a property that has witches. Oh, nostalgia. We'll do something with Bewitched. But the trouble is, Bewitched, the main strength of the original show, which you see at the failure of Tabitha, was when it was made, and how it was made specifically. And you can't take that show out of the 1960s, out of that environment, and just plop it down somewhere. And they didn't even, and they tried to get around that, but failed miserably. It was very like, oh, we've got to make a witch movie, Bewitched, let's do something with this. So it didn't really feel like it came from the right place to me. It felt like it was just, a cookie cutter thing they were trying to do and take nostalgia money from people, which, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. The story didn't work. I don't know. That's my take.
Anybody else have anything to say before we vote? No? All right, everybody out there, you guys get to vote too. Everybody who saw Bewitched, the movie, wands up or wands down?
Oh, here's my camera. Wands down.
It was blah. I see blah, no intention, no purpose. And again, unless you're on a plane and you want to sleep and take your mind off things, there's lots of pretty colors to go to sleep to. That works. So there you go. Anyway, so we still want to know what you guys want us to do. We're going into the holidays. Is there any holiday witch movies we should be doing? Again, we can branch out as we're doing into television and all sorts of things. What do we want to talk about? That's both for us here on screen and the audience.
I would love, I'm just going to throw this out to the group. I have two things that eventually I'd love to discuss with you guys. Movie. Oh, Krampus, that's a good one. I would love either like new Sabrina, like on Netflix versus old Sabrina. And also I would love to discuss Hereditary. And I thought at first that wasn't witchy enough, but when I reread the synopsis and rethought about it, I think it is witchy enough.
I think we have to do Harry Potter during the holidays, though.
Yes.
I mean, it's just such a holiday thing. We associate it with the holidays because there's always a big Christmas scene. And then first couple of movies came out during the holiday season. I think we have to do Harry Potter soon.
I'm on board. I'm a Harry Potter nut. I love it.
I'll pull out my Harry Potter wand, of which we all have.
Can I tell you that I have never read any of the books. I have never watched any of the movies because when the films came out, when the books came out, I was too old for them. And then when the films came out, I was so Pentecostal that I was afraid of witchcraft.
Oh,
so I have never seen any of the Harry Potter films.
Wow.
You're in for a treat, except for movie 2.
You're all
Thank you, Jason. Oh my goodness.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So what should he watch? What should he watch? Okay, a Harry Potter virgin. We heard that not movie 2. What is if he watched 1? Which one should he watch?
Start with 1.
You have to watch all of them, though. Even the one I don't like. You have to watch all of them. There's no escaping that.
Better start.
Very well done.
And it looks like people out there definitely want Krampus and definitely want Sabrina. Let's do them all. We have every Wednesday. We're here forever. Okay, so before we go, we have just a few minutes left. Definitely Harry Potter. Richard-Lael reacts. I love this. Oh, that's us. Scared. All right, let's go through everybody and again tell everybody where they can find us. Now, you out there, if you like us, follow us, do all those things that we have to do in this crazy modern world. That means get a Black Phillip. No, that means like us and follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and whatever we're on. For those of us who have books, buy our books. Tell your friends about this Witches Movie Coven and everything else that we're doing. So before we go there, I'm just going to go in I will go in a Deosol circle versus a Witterson circle, starting with Courtney. Tell anybody where they can find you, anything you have coming up that they could watch you on, see you on live, go hang out, whatever they have.
Perfect. Well, I am on, my personal self is on all the socials at the Femes, which is short for femur because it's what I love. You can find me on Instagram if you want to keep up with Black Phillip's adventures. He decorated a Christmas tree yesterday or the other day. It was very exciting. He was also seen on there reading Jason's book, so that was fun. You can also find me on TikTok. I post videos there. You can watch me on Twitch. I play horror games for everyone else's entertainment, which is a lot of fun. Or you can watch me as Ghostbait on Scared and Alone, which is scaredandalone.com, or at Scared Alone Live on all the socials. And you can watch me scare the pants off myself there too.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Jason.
I'm easy to find. It's usually at Pan Mankey is the handle. On Instagram, I do also take pictures of my Black Phillip. And Courtney, we should collaborate and use hashtag
Yes!
Adventures of Black Phillip and
Oh, I
Patti.
love it.
And we
I'm
can
in.
all,
I am in.
Richard-Lael and
I'm
Heather-
going
and
to
we
take him with me now to Dallas tomorrow.
Yeah, and we can
Yes.
and he can be everywhere and everyone to everybody. That would be great. And next week, as I said earlier, I'm going to be in Ohio. So if you're out there, come see me. That would be awesome.
Okay. And they can find the social medias. All right. Okay, Heather.
Okay, well, the best way to find me is to go to my website, heathergreene.net. My socials are there. I'm on a few of them, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and all the various places. All the links are there. Again, heathergreene.net. You can also see information about my book. And there's also a link to all of the articles, because I am also a religion journalist, and I focus on witchy stuff and occult stories. So you can read a bunch of my work there. I'm not going to be live anywhere. I was just at a bookstore a couple weeks ago. I'm taking a break during the holidays, but you can always reach out to me on Twitter and through my website. And I need to go, after we're done, order a Black Phillip so I can participate in Black Phillip adventures down south.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And Richard-Lael.
You can find me anywhere fine Gentleman Psychics are sold. And that would be the Gentleman Psychic. That would be me. Or under my name, Richard-Lael Lillard. Also, for those of you who are out there, if I ever contact you and tell you that you are lucky, and I'm sending out a message to my fans for a free reading or that's not me. I will never contact you. You contact me, thegentlemanpsychic.com.
But I've already given you $50.
Oh no!
50 bucks is 50 bucks.
There's an adventure for Black Phillip.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
Richard,
an adventure for Black Phillip. Yes, and you guys, sadly, for those of us like Richard-Lael and I, and all of us, there's fake us's out there, and we won't do that. We don't contact you and tell you need a reading and tell you. We just don't. I'm luckily after 3 years of begging, pleading, calling on the floor, going, why? I finally got verified on Instagram. So now I can finally say, I don't have the blue check, it's not the real me, but there's still fake me's on Facebook and Twitter. We don't know what Twitter is anymore. And TikTok. So yeah, we don't know what Twitter is anymore. So pattinegri.com, you can get to all my real things. Please do like us and follow us. I'm on TikTok too. Patti.negri on Instagram, Patti Negri Psychic Medium with the blue check on Facebook. Twitter's Patti Negri. And I have a YouTube page with lots and lots of free stuff and free information. And of course, my other podcasts come to The Witching Hour, which is everywhere you can get podcasts. Drops on Mondays, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, everywhere. And in video on my YouTube page and on Paraflix. So if you guys like horror and mystery and some spirituality and lots and lots and lots of paranormal, check out my network, paraflix.com. We call it the Netflix of the paranormal, but it's way cheaper, like $3.99 a month. 80% brand new programming, so check it out. We're gonna get this show on there. Okay, we're putting this show on there. I know some people, so we have this, and also I have a school to teach this kind of beautiful stuff. We have to get all you guys there. Richard-Lael is one of our teachers. It's called universitymagicus.com. It's our very own kind of Hogwarts. But we don't have teams and we don't have boat races and we don't have anything like that. But universitymagicus.com, it's a very, very affordable, old-fashioned, but not old-fashioned esoteric mystery school. We have over 20 teachers, all of different paths, all of different magical, wacky, wonderful paths. We don't tell you what to believe or what the truth is. You figure it out yourself. So check that out. Go to pattynegri.com. But again, these are amazing people here with us. So tell your friends about it. We want to keep this Wednesday thing going. There is so many movies and only so many Wednesdays. So thank you. We have one left thing to do. Besides that, get yourself a Black Phillip. But we have one more thing to do that we do every week, which is, shall we play along? Let's do 3, cackle. Thank you for listening and watching the Witches Movie Coven.